And today we are doing the lover archetype. We are continuing on the feminine archetypes or the woman archetype. And I think 10 days ago, I know it's been a minute, I recorded and I published the Queen. And I see you're loving it. I'm getting some inboxes as well. That's lovely. Keep the questions coming in. And then one day I'll do a series on just answering some of your questions from what we've covered so far. So today we're doing the lover. And like the Queen, I wanted to demystify it a little bit because, every time, especially for those of you who are into archetypes and who are students of mine or students of the archetypes and the mythologies and all that, when we think lover archetype, usually a lot of people are already thinking of, a romantic, a sexual, Marilyn Monroe types, Angelina Jolie types, Kelly Kumalo. Yes, and they all have the lover archetype, but the purpose of these teachings is to show you and broaden the lens for you so that you understand that you also, even though you don't look like Angelina Jolie, you don't have that sexual appeal of Kim Kardashian, you also have the lover in you. We all have it. So every woman has the queen within her. It gets activated by the actual role. When you are in your queenness or your queendom, there are certain things that you do and you do not do. Please watch the previous video if you have not. The lover archetype, it's also an energy. Again, the way I'm teaching them here is the energetics of it. There comes a time where your lover needs to come out because you need her. You need Aphrodite from within to come out and help you achieve certain things. The same way that you need your queen to come out if you find yourself leading people or community or in a position of some form of authority. The queen is called to come out. So the lover is also called to come out every time. In fact, I would argue that as women, we need to always have the lover activated one way or the other because the lover, like the queen, it is a quintessentially feminine energy. So what exactly does the lover do, or what does the lover energy or the lover archetype within bring about in your everyday life, and why is it that you need to activate her? If anything, you need to activate the lover in you because it does, like I said, make you quintessentially feminine. And yes, it is about sexuality and sensuality, but it is so much more than that. So what society has done, or, we've narrowed it to romance, that if we say, no, put on your lover. And we also did it, or rather society has made the lover archetype to be for the male gaze. You dress a particular way, you walk a particular way, you do a particular thing so that you attract the man and you have a man, far from the truth of what this beautiful energy, this beautiful archetype is about. So let's first start with what exactly is the lover archetype and why is it that every woman watching this needs to keep her activated at least 50% of the time of your life has to be anchored by the lover. Yes, it has to be anchored by the queen if you are needed to queen, but it must also be anchored by the lover. And I'll tell you why. So let's begin. As usual, I need new glasses. Hey? The pink ones broke. That's why I'm always wearing these ones. So let me look at my notes and let us begin. I said the lover is not just about sensuality and sexuality. It is part of it, but it is a small part of it. The lover essentially is an archetype of connection, of passion, of creativity, of joy, of joy. Women who have joy, I think, live longer, and the archetype, or rather the example that comes to mind right now as I'm recording now, she comes to mind. I have her on the notes, but she wants to come up now, is Maya Angelou. I know Mama Maya Angelou also embodies the wise woman, but Mama Maya Angelou embodied the lover archetype. Her poem, phenomenally, is the lover through and through. So the lover archetype is for pleasure, aliveness, a sense of joy, a sense of awe, a sense of creativity. You will never have someone in the creative arts who's a dancer or a musician or a poet who is not anchored deeply by the lover, because it's about intensity. It's also about passion. It's about creativity and creating, because the lover archetype is anchored from the creative energies, anchored from the sacral chakra. When the sacral chakra is at its most active and most healthy, it will bring out the very best lover in you. You know, some of the examples now that I've mentioned Mama Maya Angelou, Mama Miriam Makeba had a active lover. In fact, maybe this is a moment where I can share a story. I once met Mama Miriam Makeba at her house somewhere. I don't know if it was a house or not, but somewhere in Horton. Many years ago, we were called by a friend to go visit Mama Miriam Makeba. And when we got to the house, first of all, as you walk in, it was smelling of good food, like incredibly beautiful food. Because, you know, she lived all over the world in exile in America, in the diaspora, and she was creating some dish from, I don't know where, but it was an African dish. And it smelled so incredibly beautiful. And she smiled at us. You know, she had this thing of, she was very enchanting, for lack of a better word. You could tell that this is a woman who loves herself, who loves life, who's just, you know, you see even the little moves that I'm trying to make, I'm trying to animate how she came across. And she told stories of exile, and she told stories, you know, of living in America and being a musician and an artist in America and having short hair, and you know how Americans at first did not understand why would a woman just have short hair. You know, it was just a beautiful day, and I'll never forget that. But Mama Miriam Makeba also embodied, you know, the lover archetype. Another one, the youngest one of the youngest for me, lover archetype, was Lebu Matosa. You know, Lebu Matosa, the passion, the dance, the movements, her laughter, the way she carried herself, the way she was. I mean, also lover archetype is very light. You know, there's nothing heavy about it. You know, you might be dealing with really heavy stuff. When you activate the lover, it lightens you up a little bit. It makes you attractive, it makes you feminine, it makes you draw ideas, draw people to you. You know, I mean, if we go into mythology, especially Greek mythology, obviously, we all know of Aphrodite, who was the lover archetype. And a lot of people misinterpret Aphrodite as just sensual. Yes, she was sensual and sexual, but she also had this thing of wherever she went, any room she walks in, she would light it up. She would inspire creativity, inspire opportunities, inspire abundance, fertility. And she used to gift women with just beauty, so much beauty. This lover archetype is about beauty and admiring beauty, not just your own physical beauty, but just creating beautiful things in your life. So if you find those things missing in action, a sense of vitality, a sense of aliveness, a sense of beauty, having flowers in your home, having perfume on, dressing well, looking beautiful, admiring beauty for beauty's sake, watching the sunset, going to the beach, watching the sunrise, and just immersing yourself in deep awe, then it means the lover archetype in you is not active. If you find yourself just always dull, always productive, you know, we live in hustle culture that requires us to be a bit of machines, you know, operating in a highly masculine energy, which I've touched on in previous videos. It robs us of the natural need for joy, for rest, for beauty, for creativity, for lots and lots of rest. Yes, and lots of love making and sensuality and really feeling yourself. But because we are in hustle culture and we are productivity driven, and a lot of women are working, and rightfully so. We have to feed the babies, we have to feed the children and school our children. So that sense of lover disappears. And because it has disappeared out of your life, ubadale, waboreha, and you end up really just numbing even more with some of the things that we do to numb, you know, where you spend an entire weekend in bed watching, binging on Netflix or binging on Disney, whatever it is that you are watching, or spending an entire weekend drinking. That is numbing. That tells you how the lover archetype is not activated. And there's ways that you need to activate it. There's ways that you need to bring it to the fore. And yes, even in the bedroom, for a lot of women who work very hard, you find that sexually it's just like, you know, yeah, because you are in a different vibe. You are not activated from a deep, healthy sacral chakra that is governed by the lover archetype. But like most archetypes, there is the shadow side. But before we get to the shadow side, the lover archetype helps you with emotional openness. It helps you with the capacity to truly, truly be seen, to be intimate, and to be vulnerable with your partner or with whatever it is that you're doing. I mean, think of artists, especially dancers and musicians. When you are standing on stage like Kelly Kumalo, I mean, Kelly Kumalo, for me, you can say whatever. But when she's in her art, oh my God, Zonke is another one. Zonke is sensual. And you can see the emotional and the intimacy and the emotional vulnerability when she sings, especially Kelly Kumalo. You can see the lover archetype showing up that way. Once again, these teachings are basic of the basic of the basic. Archetypes go on, and it's a year-long type of teaching for those of you who are interested. There's different elements of or aspect of the lover that can be modules on themselves. The whole intimacy and vulnerability is a module on its own. How you cultivate that, how you lost it, and so on. It's a coaching, it's a teaching on its own. So I'm just touching the surface and just busting some myths. So emotional openness also comes from the lover, vulnerability and intimacy, passion for work, purpose for life itself, waking up and feeling like you are happy and joyful to be alive, going out to nature, picking up flowers, putting flowers in your hair, enjoying food, enjoying a good meal. People also chefs, think of Nigella. I didn't even think of her. Think of Nigella. When Nigella is making her food, she's not trying to be sexual or sensual, but you can see the lover in her. You can feel it. You can see it. Even barefoot Contessa, just to give you that contrast in case people think because Nigella Vele is a beautiful woman. Barefoot Contessa, when she cooks, I also feel like, okay, the lover archetype is activated. And food does activate the lover archetype because, you're enjoying the taste of food, enjoying food, not just wolfing your lunch because you have to rush back to your desk or you have to rush back to a meeting or you have to take a takeaway and eat food in J as if it's not something that is sustaining and nourishing and delicious, enjoying something that's very, very delicious. So I'm sure you can tell that I love the lover archetype, and there's many, many aspects of me that are anchored by the lover, not all the time, but whenever I feel like I'm getting into the dull state, I actively activate her. And there's ways that you can activate her, which I'm going to get to before the end of the video. But what you want to take out of this is the lover's gifts, activating the lover in you will gift you with joy. You'll have natural joy. You don't need to do anything to be joyful. Joy will be an undercurrent of your life, whether you have problems, whether you have a mean boss, whether or not, there'll be always joy. And again, joy and happiness are two different things. Joy is constant, it's underneath, it's anchoring you, while happiness is based on a specific event. This happened, it made me happy. I got an increase, I got happy. Someone gifted me with someone and it made me happy, but it's always passing. But joy is that undercurrent that's there. And a lot of people don't know how to keep it there or keep it activated. Joy is the one that helps you overcome faster than when you do not have joy. And there are people who live without joy. And I see them sometimes in my coaching practice, and sometimes, it's friends that you can see that joy is missing. So the gift of the lover archetype, first and foremost, is that it brings you joy. Secondly, it brings you creativity. And creativity is another interesting one where a lot of people like to say, Naki creative. Everybody's creative. You are human. For as long as you are born and you are on earth and you are human, you have a creator within you. You are creative. You just don't know where. You can say, I don't know where my creativity lies. And, if you don't know, your job is to find out. Your job is to populate. And how do you populate? You need to create, you need to cultivate some curiosity. You need to follow your nose. You need to be open. You need to close that laptop or that TV, if you watch Netflix on TV, and go out to nature. That is the most creative thing you can ever do. You go out to nature to remind you. You pick your flowers, you buy beautiful fruits, you clean your home, you make it smell good. And slowly you are getting into some form of creativity, however small. Again, we'll talk about these things maybe some other time or if you come to class or whatever. But creativity is the gift of the lover archetype. Presence is another one. If you cultivate the lover archetype, you will find yourself almost always in the present. You will not constantly go to the future or the past where you are regretting the past or worrying about the future. You'll not live in you'll always obviously being present is also, it's a practice. But when you have activated the lover, you find that you enjoy the present. You look at your cat. I'm looking at my beautiful cat there on the bed and it puts a smile on my face. And if there's one thing about cats, they will bring you to the present, or pets for that matter, not just cats. I'm biased, towards cats because I'm a cat person, I'm a cat mom. So presence, you will always just be brought to presence. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because when you're looking at flowers, they're here, they're beautiful. When you are gardening, it's here, it's now. When you are cooking, it's now. When you're enjoying the sunset, it's now. So it brings you here in the present, in the now. Are you with me? Are you getting it, somebody? Emotional depth comes from the lover, believe it or not. Again, this is why I wanted to bust that whole myth that when you think of a lover, you're thinking of sex and sensuality, which they are part of it. You will never enjoy sex and be sensual and be open and be intimate properly if you don't have the lover activated. You'll have sex to just satisfy whatever, to just blow off steam and get back to your grinding and your hustling because we live in hustle culture and people love to hustle. I don't know why. Laughing out loud. People who laugh out loud, like Maya Angelou used to say, is people who have the lover archetype really, really steeped in. Now, the shadow side of the lover, because every archetype has a shadow, as you know. So, and the lover has plenty of shadows. I mean, if you think of Aphrodite herself, she got so jealous of one character and banished her to never ever fall in love ever again. That if she falls in love, she'll die, or some story like that. Greek mythology is very, very crazy, but it's interesting at the same time. So the first shadow is jealousy. Lover archetypes tends to fall into jealousy. They get very, very jealous, very manipulative, use seduction. Think of Bible character Jezebel, using seduction, using your body, using your sexuality to get something that you want, manipulation, becoming addicted to being desired, getting addicted to attention of some sort. That is part of the shadow of the lover. That's the lover gone wrong. Or overly using the part of you that people like. I'm thinking, Zodwa Wabantu, yeah, lover archetype through and through, but shadow side. And I'm talking about the old Zodwa Wabantu. I don't know now. I know she's gone into healing and all that. It's just a fact. She is a public figure. So Zodwa Wabantu used the lover archetype in that seductive, overly sexual, overly naked way that, put some people off and caused some form of polarity. The lover is about a connection and bringer of people and just beauty. And so whenever it creates some form of polarity, you've stepped into the shadow side. Another one who also did the lover archetype shadow side, it's Kanye Bao, when the old Kanyumbao, I don't know now. I know she's a completely different person now, but think of Kanyumbao as how we got to know her. Lover archetype, perhaps on the shadow side more than on its beauty side, on the other side of it. So overly using your sexuality to gain something or to gain attention or to cause controversy is the shadow side. Possessiveness is another shadow side of the lover because of the intensity, because of how they get into something intensely. They tend to, become a bit possessive, which obviously leads to jealousy and some form of emotional intensity that is a bit unhealthy. Things like insecurity is, believe it or not, a lover archetype's shadow, suspicion, self-sabotage. There are many. Like I said, this is the basic of the basic, but that's just, one of the lists that you can get on the shadow side of the lover archetype or of the lover energy. If it rules your life too much, you tend to go into the shadow. One thing you need to understand about these archetypes as I'm teaching them is that there are energies that you need when you need them. You don't have to live like a lover forever. You don't have to be in a particular archetype forever. You need to move through them. They're energies that you move through them. You use them when you have to, and when you don't need to, you need to. There's a time to be a wise woman, which is an archetype I'll do as well. But I think I will do the warrior next, and then maybe I'll do the wise woman, and then I'll do the healer. So I'll do those five only. The healer is a very, very important one, especially here in South Africa when so many healers are awakening. Since 2016, 2020, a lot of women healers awakened. So I think it's worth a lot of time to spend on, what is a healer. So yeah, you move through the energies and you use them as you can. Yes, there are where it is part of your work and it's part of your life where you find that 80% of your life is anchored in the warrior, or it's anchored in the queen, or it's anchored in the lover. Yes, but that doesn't mean you don't have other parts, other energies that you can draw from and use them appropriately when you need them. So how do you then cultivate the lover? If you're listening to this video and you're like, hey, the lover is missing in action, I feel dull, I feel weird, I'm constantly tired, I'm constantly working, I'm constantly irritated, I get into depressive modes. And by the way, when I say depressive mode, I'm not talking about depression, I'm not talking about clinical depression, I'm talking about a depressive episode where you are always like, meh, you need to activate the lover. You are not going to function well for too long. In fact, you might actually get into real depression if you don't activate the lover. She is that important to activate in your life. So how do you do that? How do you awaken her? First of all, ladies, women, please spend time in nature. Please spend time in nature. A lot of you who are watching are probably from Gauteng or from wherever. I mean, nature is everywhere. Please go for hiking. Please go to the park. Please get out of the house. Get out of the townhouse, get out of the car and walk in nature. Go to the river, go to the forest, go to the mountain, go to the sea, go to the waterfall. Go out in nature. Nature is the first mother and the first lover and the first creative force and the first one that loved us. It's our first home, our real, real home. And there's something about nature that will awaken something in you. I say this because I have been doing a lot of, if you follow me on Facebook and you watch my stories, you will notice that most weekends I'm out in nature. The Karoo is dry. It's a different type of vibe, but it works for my soul right now. So yeah, nature. Do not let a month go by usoyi or nature. Don't. Even if it means going to Naledi Farm. Naledi Farm, they have plenty of nature and you'll enjoy good food that was cooked from the garden. And then you immerse yourself in nature. You take off your shoes. Okay, it's a bit cold now, but touch the grass, touch the soil, walk barefoot and immerse yourself in nature. I swear to you, you will come back a little alive. It will be so much better than whatever series you were watching on Netflix. I swear to you. Secondly, create something. Creation does not mean you must take a paint and paint with a paint. Create something, cook something. You could cook a meal. It's the simplest and easiest way to access your own creativity. Do a recipe, like look at a recipe book, bake a cake, do something that makes you say, oh, I created this. So when I say cook, I'm not saying cook the usual. Don't do rice and chicken and cabbage. That's automatic. That's almost automated and mechanical. Do something that activates your creativity, something that's fascinating, something that like, or gardening or landscape or whatever comes to mind, but create something. So I'm mentioning cooking because it's the easiest. You can have a cookbook and then create a meal that you've always wanted to create. Watch Siba. Siba is another one who is a lover archetype anchored deeply in her. I can just see her smile right now because Siba's always got a resting, smiling face. Okay, so create. Third, dance. Do some movement. Dancing specifically creates the lover archetype. I mean, out of all the creative arts, the dancers have the most lover. because of just the way they move. Lava is just, oh man. So dance, when music plays, just dance, just move a little bit. Oscar, neck is safe, just dance. Dance like no one's watching, as they say. Another thing that you can do to create the lava is sing. I sing. I don't know how to dance well, but I do dance. Barikitile, I don't know why, because when I was younger, I used to dance. But anyway, I sing well. I have a very good voice. So sing, sing along, sing. 4 or 5, I don't know if it's 4 or 5. Rest, please. My relationship with rest has improved drastically over the years. I was a chronic and non-rester, and it showed because the lava was not even active in me. I was very, very dull and just working. I've always had it down. But the lava, the enjoying life, the sensuality of it all actually really emerged when I moved to the Karoo, to be honest with you. Okay, travel, explore, go to places you don't know. If you have time and a little bit of money and a little bit of petrol, take a drive and go to the cradle of the humankind. Just create some artsy, some exploration, some interest in something other than the usual, other than worrying about your money and your bills and being debt free, which is something that everybody wants to be. Noble, 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 but there's more things in life than to just think about money all the time. So yeah, create, dance, sing, go out in nature. I mean, if you take nothing out of this, take this one. Go out in nature and allow yourself to enjoy pleasure. Eat slowly. Drink your juice slowly, sip your coffee slowly, watch outside the window, watch the sunrise, watch the clouds, look in awe, look at your cat and just admire the eyes, admire how it moves. I mean, a cat is very, very lover. Have you seen how a cat moves? And it's very intentional. Everything is very intentional. Even when it eats, even when it bathes, it's very, very intentional. And if it isn't obvious, you do know that I love the lover archetype, and this is my story. I cannot wait to hear yours, and I'll come back in a few days. Might not be as long as the last one. I got caught up and got very busy with coaching, and I was a little tired, so I needed to take a little bit of a breather. But I will bring the warrior archetype in a few days. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 days. I'll bring the warrior, then I'll do the wise woman, then I'll do the healer, and then we'll conclude the series. Thank you for loving it. I see the views have increased. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next time.